miracle to have Rinpoche here with us at Tushita, and that we can be all together, even though we are all very far away from each other. And many of us watched His Holiness this morning, and it was wonderful. The cameras were everywhere, and one really had the feeling to be there. So yeah, it was very, very inspiring. Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Zashi perki chuchi me tok tram ri rap linzi ni te gyempadi sangye zindu mi te owayi droku namda tsingla shupasho. O holy and perfect pure Lama, from the clouds of compassion that form in the skies of your Dharmakaya wisdom, please release a rain of vast and profound Dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained. Yidam Guratna Mandala Kamnyayatayami.
Okay. Sanje Chudon Zoji Chunam La Chanju Pado Dani Japso Che Dagi So Gave Chonam Gi Rolla Pinje Sanje Chupur Sho Sanje Chudon Soji Shunam La Chanju Pado Dani Japso Che Dagi So Give Chonam Gi Rolla Pinje Sanje Chupur Sho Sanje Chudon Soji Chunam La Chanju Pado Dani Japso Dagi Jinsu Give Chonam Gi Rola Benje Sanje Drubur Sho Tuni Sulu Jugan Chejason Kanjan Tendru Chana Bemo Ninjin Jazolo So and the Roshan Tundro Sho Random Solo Diam Kasan Tarver Jungo Sewe Jube Tabe Sinji Shini Jula Charge No. Okay, and you can pen Sanje Chosuma in English, please. So when we say the Sanje Chosuma, so please bring all the memory from this morning that we listen from His Holiness, and please refresh your Bodhisattva. Wow, I hope it's still fresh. Okay.
I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings.
알았어. 당아조 계산 기부 충격이 고대 슈차병도 땅. 다테네 기부 딩. 다 기부 딩고데 두르두르 슈비나. 다 계산 아주 여기 참저디 쳇디당 쳇디기 지게 나와 쳇치말이야 사모 콜마토가 쳇다가랑데야 셴징 차야디 안에 짜와디 딱 버릇진데 등징이 지기도 시제 디 삼로지 코치 다딜이야 미다바콤 하메스 다니버티 다디리 개와치말라 기와치면 원도 되니 로디 기용도 아니 신의 기부 중국이 다 최제고 쪽으로 세대들이 다 기부 등급도 레드 아니 다 지금 원도 함이 고반 톱이 있나요? 원도 톱이 있나요? 아니 지금 가져서 받은 종원도 톱 두고 싶어요. 슬라나 아니 고디리 가성한 주마스니 인지게 마스니 웰리티디 요딩이 선트비치 가뚜이네 답에 가뚜이네 아니 그래서 우리 세균매번 원독이 고반데 세균매번 말이스 중생 가르레 슬라베이나 아람상 아란저기 단다 동해와 인디 동해외랑 신리스 단다 원토 먼저 고반에 개발랭이 코랑 차샤비나 양 차드미 고반 톱디니 차샤비나 아니 동네와의 가르치는스나 콜 동네에 계제 말해요. 동네와레스 가르치는스나 레뉴 샤완체레스 레다뇨모 샤완체레스 어디 당하르 스틸 알소리 그 내가 치슈섬 당서디 레다뇨모게 샤완으로 서비 주라 아니 그것도 유니 퀄리티에 고요를 퀄리티에 고도 좀 퀄리티에서도 코라스기도 봐. 야 원토 네마 가르소래 미게 야소로만 로고요를 꼬르자고요. 또 시제. 먼저 된대양로 주니 꼬르자고요. 뭐도 시제 코르고요. 디치단 코르바스라고요. 봐. 어디 인도선 베타 네 디콤버시비나 아니 다 기부 등기 톱자 가르래 빵자 가르래 시주선데 기부 등기 코알레 타르고 제디 타르바트리 톱자디 빵야 가르친스는 레다 녀몬이들이 하바도 녀몬들이 어디 지교를
And so yesterday we are in our discussion, we sort of covered in some detail the practices and the contemplations associated with beings who are of the smaller scope, and on the and taking that as a basis, then today we'll discuss a little bit to start with the beings of the kind of middling scope or middling capacity. And what we were talking about yesterday in terms of the kind of clinging attachment to the appearances of this life and how that prevents us from that creates an over focus on the concerns of this life and prevents us from being able to take into account the importance of our future lives, and which is driven by the underlying grasping at permanence, and then of course then meditation on impermanence itself acts as a counteractive force to that. So then if we sort of take the context, so that's sort of in the summary of what we talked about yesterday in relation to beings of the smaller capacity. And then if we think so then if we sort of move away from that over concern for this life and think about the future lives, then we have to, then we're also and so we, attaining wishing to attain higher states of rebirth and these kind of things, then this is included within the gamut of the being of the smaller scope and the desire to at least achieve the happy states of rebirth. But then we have to sort of look at that and think about how far can we go with that, because we talk about, even in these higher states of rebirth, we still talk about this. We don't say that all is suffering necessarily. It's not quite like that, but we say that the person, the kind of nature of existence, they're a suffering person. And why do we say that? Because the birth, taking birth is always is still being driven by the process, under the influence of karma and the mental affliction. So it's other powered. It's powered by karma and mental afflictions. And so the main sort of thrust of this is that whatever, we're still ending up in a samsaric state, and we talk about the samsaric state, we use the word cyclic existence. It's a cycle. So even if you're able to attain a higher state, temporarily attain a higher state of rebirth, but it's still a cycle, and we will cycle through higher states and then fall into the lower realms of existence, as is through this cycle, as is described in the process of the 12 links of interdependent relation. And And so this is the cycle. That's why we call it samsara, or the cyclic existence. And so we have to think about what is it that we wish to attain or achieve, and what is it that we, in terms of, then this is in the context of a being of the kind of middling scope, what is it that we wish to attain, and what is it that we wish to abandon or overcome. And so it's liberation from this cycle of samsaric existence in the context of the middle scope person is what we wish to attain. And the kind of abandonment of karma and mental afflictions, but essentially the main between those is that of abandoning mental afflictions.
I'm so sorry, Rinpoche. Could we request Simon to put on his camera, or is it for technical reasons that, because we can't highlight him with black?
Okay.
Oh.
I don't know why it turned off.
Welcome back.
I didn't sleep a lot last night, so it's better to
Okay.
Better for all.
That around the Dumi two signal some down children. The two the shed in the new computers too. Now around the any jiggy Tajik Hadang Jig Lama Yeshe thing on Ju Mare. The jig metro summit, Egyptian digore. Tang around the chashan and Bikibu, you do some bit. Any Ranshingi go Le Pa Kasure Jig in son of Chilia, Shorche. Any Kibushi which Chumbe Cabraya. Any Kanyes Zigio Mare. Kibu you de Cabloco Kanyan Donens yet to some more Koyo Mare. They do that around to the Tanda Chig Kanyamango Shuchu Chile on the Seminar, Kanyamango Union, Penaranshi Janians from the Chashavina, Midi Ranshi Javina, Kanye the Zogre some Yorba. The Indus Kokan Soneta, Tindri Kawa Land Devale, and Mab Shavina, and Kanye the Mab Chag do something. Dig channel, Takechi should done you Jiggy Ranshi Jamin. The top to race a chivalry, quick don't end Emma to Zandiki. Dichiorba. The Indusambeta around to get some knowledge about the Karaku to Stabina. Around the Dungi Chumbati, Carrich in the Chonsons, Laduzambe, Lamsan, Dangzingi Cheson, Marie Bechesons, Lamsan Samatambache, Gandal Lamsan Karakovson. Kevalemba Dixon Sage. Ding ever some quartovi. Kevalenza and Aldunit Shumalis. There is a bit Dunging Zawalaya, Dunging Zawatelia, Kevas Samatanachi. Tawana Keva de Meva can do so good, Siduzembe, Takevalena di Kariling to Sida, Ledanumo, Kevalinkatus. Less do number of doos tune to the Drogo Duzembe, till a lay sage. Anne till lady Dramendam William and lay yada san sedi. Col Sudi Jiggy, Colia led Delia Sudi Jiggy, Numon, Jan Carita Chevina, Tia Kiviach. The Induzambe, or that in Judy, and it gained the trick mojuba, and it Nundutaya, Martaya di, Aranjugi, Sonam Satanta. And it is Shiga Delia, and it is long Malambata, Chabe on the Mansona, called Tapshe, Kiwala, Walla, Tapshe, said the Tirva. That catches you on the Carpodusna. Led and Yumunik, Lel Catija to your Yama, let Tang Tamever. That catches you guys, Numon. Numon Anone, Numon Undu Wadan, Jiggy any Havado, Numon Taveta, Jiggy Dungsin son of Shan Chashavina. And Numon Undu open and the Chason Road, as a Rishi Kat pretty, in a Kazus part of Pakati, Katu Mari. Yan, Nimaji Kenji down Chevon. Actually, one the jury on actually. Just column when you was the parlor, yes, the kitchen level. That you do some go, I need someone in a bango, those sour bang on the ta, go Chitaneta, 개부시라 뭐가지 딱 개치슈디 가서래 등진신인데 로 친지로 될 때니 아주 세마트버디 차용요래 디자와리 요체비 슈라 아니 같이 이내 아주리야 지기 기부 용탑이요 말았어 내가 기부 요나야 니마치 같이 이내 동의 공을 주니에레 세기 또 삼로디 주리 동의 세 삼로디 랩토나 야고도가 주주레 세디
거기 타마데기 교배득는 카레이나 름셰티 교배득는 타마데
제장가랑 줄을 단다 내가 간대지 기부 충분히나야 거기 자와들 등진이 요자
그래요
고 자와들 등진이 좀 로친질로 텔 때네 가르치기를 스튜디오 레다뇽문 계계 디그레스
그래요
디 레다뇽문 계 차베나 디그 디블로 동의 영향 버렸어 디 삼을 코토베나 아니 고 삼을 직도가
그래 and so when we're talking about suffering in this that we've just been, that I'm starting to introduce, and I think this might be the way I'm going to explain it, maybe a bit uncommon, not so commonly thought about, but I think it's important to discuss. Is that for instance, when we're talking about the states of rebirth in cyclic existence, then things like the gods and the demigods and these things are a little bit hard for us to sort of relate to, in the sense of when very, very refined sort of happy states, but contained within the cyclic existence, is a little bit difficult for us to really relate to. But if we bring it down to a sort of relatable level, then for instance, we know in our experience when there's a great amount of sort of pleasure or happiness then in our lives, then we can lose the sense that we can temporarily lose the sense that we have difficulties or suffering. But of course, it doesn't mean that we actually completely get away from them. But then on the other end of the spectrum, for people who have suffered tremendous sort of complications and difficulties in their lives, to the point at which people may even feel the wish to commit suicide, to take their own life, then what's happening here is that people feel that they feel that taking their own lives will finish the difficulties. So they see the sort of being born in this life as and then this life filled with its difficulties which overwhelm them, and therefore if I were to take my own life, then these difficulties would cease. And this is a kind of these extreme situations can happen as ways for people to think about overcoming their suffering. But the way we need to really approach this problem of our suffering in our lives is to think about, why does suffering arise? What's the cause of suffering? And rather than a sort of very Buddhist way of saying, immediately jumping on self-grasping ignorance as the root of our problem, a better way to think about it is that what is the cause of all that suffering is taking birth itself. So taking birth itself, from the moment of taking birth, driven by karma, and then the ripening through the mental afflictions, this process, this kind of birth process, must necessarily create suffering. So in a sense, we can think of birth itself as the thing which generates all of this suffering in our lives. So therefore, thinking about birth itself as the stopping birth itself, and of course, our samsaric cyclic birth in cyclic existence is driven by karma and mental afflictions, and so of course, and so stopping that process is a way to work on stopping our suffering. Now, of course, there's positive or good or negative, bad sort of forms of karma, and these are ripened or influenced through the mental afflictions. But and so we you know, and then from there, you know, and we even think about, and so we have to find a way of you know, of ceasing that process, and in a general sense, we think of, you know, people will think that at the time of death, you know, it's very important not to have a strong attachment or not to develop angry states or that kind of thing, but which will help us in, you know, perhaps attaining a better birth. But what we have to do is think about how we're going to we think about how we're going to cease the karma and mental afflictions. But the problem with karma is that karma is kind of an endless variety in amount of the karmas that we have. So then focusing on the mental afflictions, and of course there are sort of the mental afflictions either come in a very manifest state, or they come or they can be dormant for some you know, they can be dormant but then manifest, and you know, we have attachment and you know, attachment or anger. These extremes of mental affliction can be temporarily ceased, or, you know, kind of forced into a dormant state, but still underlying all of this is self-grasping. And then when conditions, the kind of connected conditions arise, then again they will manifest. So of course we start to think about trying to cut away all these mental afflictions from the root, which is the root of self-grasping, grasping at an inherently existent self, and then you know, really strongly identifying the self-grasping as a mistaken mind, really identifying it as the root of all of our suffering through the process of birth, and identifying and you know, and identifying it as a completely upside down mistaken mind, and that it totally grasps something to be the way it isn't, and thinking that we, you know, we won't you know, there won't be you know, happiness if we're still being you know, through the process. For instance, there may be some temporary happiness, but then through the process of the suffering of change, that will turn into form of suffering. So we have to have that sense that we're never going to be completely happy while we are being reborn through the process which is driven by karma and mental affliction, and that suffering will always be the result if that is the case.
Tanda leda nyumoni gi zawadi dongzin himbadi sewu jiramatana ane ranchu dongzin sidu nga seji samlo jamshi khona nondure nga se jamshi du konen duki chagyo marte nga sinyeti 정부리 나는 자치 휴디 니레 나당이 세니들이 디 나로네 나당이 니 나로네 니에세 자치무 차야데 나 자치무 인선 차로 봐 다디 페제 말하는 주 미리게지 주 말에 소소 영화 코란리아 삼탄나 하고 주 데인두 다딘지디 자치무지 진단디 마신바 인자 until 때네 아니 묘모지기 요랬어. 당원에 전에 묘모 도숨디 말한 줄이야 독스라고 알아. 지상가 독더브 임비나 아니 뒤께네 되다 틀에 누워지 인고고 알다. 삼로당당나로. 아주 뒤 가르치는 삼로고 요 말씀나 다 빼나 아주 빼디 약슈지디 정신모 주의 빼려야 빼야슈디 타다 빼자고요. 제장가 알아주 빼나 타벌을 주지나 그냥 가려야스 라비나 타를 주지는 게 매우스로 스튜디 이나 권다 친나 권이야 주주다 참아직 삼의 워당지 아니 타다 대응업을 베네수엘이야 타다 입지 아니 디 코지 신나르질 랑비카비야 그 중문에리샤 삼베이나 텔레 때니 중샤교기 앙다 직다 자 탐제 거할 때니 깨버 수주 다를 주지 못할 때니 계속 오다 디 인도 잠베 산지 좀 된디 랍자데 가르쳐 거스나 만수 마란주 기타 전부 진당디 노르체 텔 때네 아니 지게 도숨디 기도스 페나 타타 짐비 타타 짐벌 때네 기베 아주 안다 슬라서 것도 좀 시리스 디 인도 잠베 딱 개치쇼 가도스나 세상 알아는 넘버 산기비 최기 자와도 닝부저도 다 기부 증명 고쪽에 송거를 잡아치 그 예전에 다 쪽사디 신의 땅 저기 묘모 방향기 삼론 데벨롭티 저어디 다 뒤뒤게 묘모 방도 관내요 이 예전에 탑시 담에 치고 탑시 담에 가서 제 차요를 아주 이나야 단도 아주 묘모기 샤마로 송데 좀전 저어디 가르잖아 당진이 균이 고려 당토요 말다 지지주 대인도 전에 딱 당진기 내단데 컨트롤이셔 세도 전에 유경원에 세도 전에 랑주투바서도 배고요 그런식 지금 마다 마친 걸리도 중지 여딘 선로 지어래 다 다신 제제도 수용도 전에 아주 제단데 가르치고 걸 세도 전에 코란 랑면은 여베도 신도 랑면 도움도 제기yor까 더 딘지 자원이 요 말에 스페나 타다신 시지 좀 된게 다 랍전 되는 것도 봐 어디 인도 개체슈데 아니 아랑 신지 모두바세 게제래 무요다 오마 팅규비게 세델레이나 당은 저때 두더 문에서는 두더 방진인 도투나 야고요 이나야 땅 얘기 시대신 말에 아니 주저요 말에 디 인도 개체슈데 다단다 오마 팅규비게 따와간래야 랑신이 모두에 따와디간 레원데 점베 아니 코랑 경우에네 다 개체슈 팅규비게 상당한데 아니 신예지 로라랑 신기 현재기 도스 차로 여야게 나디 가발도 세원데 아니 가티를 베스 가발도 도스 제원데 점베 고마를 강과 말을 라고 말을 디기 렌게 부여만 렌조 가봤잖아 덕시 풍풍아레레레레니야 고 시작용도 덕시 풍부레레레 때네 마세디 셔기도스 디 인도 점베 강라 때네 샤세기 시디 아데레민도스 디파도 그래 강바로 다 라바당 거도 좀 말했잖아 부부신주 신그래 단다 케지쇼 가서 덕시 풍풍알 때네 샤르송 이네 덕시 풍풍아티 마레메도 가르전스나 덕시 풍풍알 때네 랍송 아스다 다 팅규비 그거 깨다 치쇼데레 풍풍알 때네 강사 너고도 되게 딱생 가르친 거였으나 다디 풍부하디 가서 많이 뱉던 소스 제가 팅규비게 네 가사게 팅이 샤운도 잠베 덕시 풍부하고 거론을 때네 답이 기부스 어디를 성고요 봐 때네 답이 세지 어디인도 좀 단디네가 전부 쉬우래 다디 내가 전부 차버려서 다 사면 되는 뭐 못으니다 때네 딱 세디 제장가 고함 먹고 싶지요래 배낭을 저 탁발을 주다는 시리에서디 유응은의 매백배를 디 때네 딱왜 배 말이야 때네 딱왜 배세디 아주 길이 가서 그래 신들 때네 신대 양날 때네 신대 샤고 그래서지 신대 매바 차고 말이세지 여러분 배지가 어디 배들이 세상가 다 디크도 삼로 코야 되는 야바도 동바디 삼로 코차비 슈고래야 안 동바디 삼로 코니 안저기 동니기 코네 동니디 코와디 아주 펜송 내송 슬람나 동바지부 삼당데나 누구 소리 지어 체달을 홍도 치지 디기 가래를 펜토 걸었을 때 람상 띵중 코와디 슈처당 거였다 남중 아주 띵중 코와디 요 말 세상가 동벌을 땡지 띵중국 고수 믹스지요. 동변이 버들라. 그래서 동보동장 공대밖에 좀 mem치. 제장 미망고지기 말 저왔당 백가로 유등구도 라마덴들 저와표들이 제종 동번이 공주 전배니 셈 전화민도스 응안다지기도스. 응안다지가 용구지 용초게 응안다디 두스 대대비니 최스케 말봐. 정부신의 소소 도당대 봐. 인류 전배 딘디기 응안다 디 말레 때질레 죽래 디베 규마 특체 남상 동바디기 랑신 딱 콜에 가릴 팬토고도 쓰나 띵중기 고안내를 또 송해야지 제상가 자와르지 타나슈게 송조 갈려야 아니 제상가 동니 시골디 니마 딱 빠르지 삼로당 거 유송도가 제가 수 동바오 세디고 공부시기 송면도가 수 동바니 수를 동바니 심에 동바니 리전 수시마이노 스르좀 디 차상 공부시기 있어봐 제가 디도 잠베 좀 된디기 셔러닝부도 수 동바오 세딜 잠 샤요 방된 송도가 제상가 디 컴플리트 픽처디 아주 삼로나로 코르토베 체트베디 백해쳐 버렸어 그때 되지 중부이나 디 양내 양도 양내 검도 거기나 가를 누구서도 레드 뉴모니게 자와 코베게 자와 당진들 내용도 잠베 아니 신의 타바토베를 와트레 세상 딜레다 기부진기 톱제트다 둘두지다 둘두지
Bodhicitta. Come chignalas, like God. When we talk about the underpinning of the karma and mental afflictions with the self-grasping, I'll give a bit of a summary to this. And what really, one aspect to really look at in terms of our experience is this very strong sense of kind of not self-importance, but the importance of I and also of mine. And of course, a strong, they're kind of mutually, a strong sense of I and a strong sense of mine kind of go together. And we can see how, if we feel the importance of one, we feel the importance of others. And this is something that is easy to see within our direct experience. What we need to realize is that we have to sort of see the mental afflictions and as really like a poison. We don't really see them in that way, but it's very important to see them that this process is mistaken, and that to see it as kind of the results of the mental afflictions as being poisonous to us. Talking of poisonous, then one of the very good examples to understand in terms of reducing the kind of importance, the grasping to the I and the mine, is the example which is given in the text of the snake, the rope, and then the grasping to the rope as a snake. Now, in ordinary sort of situation and conditions, there's no sort of great danger of that occurring, but the example is given in the context of maybe at dusk, in the evening at dusk, when the light in certain conditions are very unclear, and a rope is there, but the person, because of the conditions, it appears to the person as a real snake, and then they develop fear and a kind of terror on the basis of that. But of course, the snake is never the snake. The rope has never been a snake, and in the same way, what happens to us when we grasp too much to the kind of inherentness of the I and mine is that then this develops within us the other poisons arise, the mental afflictions and the other poisons arise in us, in terms of in terms of the it's not the essence of I think, as His Holiness mentioned this morning, the essence of the Buddha's teachings is this is really this kind of middle scope sense of the working to remove to stop the entire process of the self-grasping, causing the mental afflictions and causing us to cycle through samsara, and overcoming the method of temporarily sort of trying to counteract individual mental afflictions that arise. Temporarily it's possible, but it can't work in an overall way. We have to get at the thing that underpins all of them, which is the self-grasping. And then and that is this sense of the self, which is very solid, very concrete, very not created or fabricated anywhere, really. That sort of substantial, inherent kind of concrete, substantial self. And so we need to look at that and to see whether it's like the example of the rope and the snake. We need to look at whether it really exists in that way, to, you know, as is an example, to look at whether it really, you know, in relation to the self and the five aggregates, whether it really exists from their own side or not, in the same way that we would check whether the snake, you know, there's really a snake there or not. And so we haven't got time to work through all of the tenet systems, but in general, it's best to work through them in a sequence. But just presenting it from them today, because of lack of time, through the Prasangika Madhyamaka sense, in which things don't kind of inherently or don't inherently exist or don't exist from their own side. And this is a kind of looking at where this innate sense of I comes from. Now, the way to sort of meditate on this is not just to sort of work through the body, saying, I'm not my hand, I'm not my leg, I'm not my eyes, or whatever. Even children, when presented with this, will kind of understand this. But a better way is to look at it, to work, you know, through the basis of designation of the person, the five aggregates, and how the sense of I appears on the basis, as the aggregates appear to us, so the sense of I appears on the basis of that. But this is a very important, for Prasangika, this is a really important point, is that for the very reason that that they are imputed on the basis of something, or they're imputed on the appearance of the aggregates, and then therefore the I is imputed on top of that. For that very reason alone, it reveals that, to the Prasangika school, it reveals that the person cannot be any of the five aggregates, because it's imputed on the basis, on top of them. And so it doesn't exist from the side of its, you know, of the aggregates. So the rope and the snake example are not quite the example in the literature which really fits well with this idea of imputation upon the basis of designation is the example of the chariot, and how the chariot is not, you know, is neither not any of the parts, but is posited upon the parts. It is posited on upon it, and therefore what this does is lead us to the sense of the empty nature, the lacking of a kind of inherent nature to the imputed phenomena, such as the chariot, or in this case the person. But also we have to be careful with that. We don't want to, we have to look at whether, so this is kind of understanding the empty side of the empty nature, that side of things. But we have to look at whether that really helps us or can harm us, because it's quite easy to fall into a kind of philosophical state of nihilism when nothing is found. And so what we really need to draw into this is the dependently related nature of things as well. And so that these are kind of mutually supportive. So it's not just empty, which leads us to a nihilism state. So of course, okay, it's, you know, it may be, you know, which leads us to kind of state of terror that nothing exists at all. Maybe we need a little bit of that to fear that things don't really exist inherently. But then on top of that, we have this layer, we add on this layer of the dependently, the understanding of the dependently related nature of things. And so when His Holiness talks about the Heart Sutra, he doesn't just, you know, form is emptiness and just stop it there. Emptiness is form, form is nothing other than emptiness, emptiness is nothing other than form. But they're the other branches, the other aspects of that, so which give this is how his holiness talks about it. He doesn't just stop with form is emptiness. And those other lines and the understandings that they convey give us a complete picture of understanding the kind of nature of reality. And so then, if we can understand how karma and mental afflictions the underpinned by self-grasping drive this process of cyclic existence, and how to counteract that through these understandings of the empty, independent, and nature, then we have a hope of achieving liberation as presented in the middle scope.
Okay. That tangi kasan di geje chuma nashi ani che chima samlo komatuya che tagaran mato samlo tang matuya che chima samlo kormatuya ge zawadi ani taburje be tengjing den chungyo de tengjing mori do se tel den yo res de indu jambeta kewa di 잠시 말에 kewa chimal pa doya de rangi tenre se samlo ju ko ndu jambe shine ani karsore kewa chima samlo ta ya di rangi tenda de ya redo da kewa chima se di ronyen aresha di indu jambe di nge tenda aresha samlo sawa ko ndu jambe shine rewa sawa tre rewa tene die nge rang tenre shas ta kiwu 기부 충분히 첨불 가서 기부 충분히 기부 등을 말도 좀 기부 등을 내도 좀 다오 다지게 개와 가서 그래 상보직 빌려봐 좀게 팽금도 네버도 양고 지금 가서 그래 퀄리 개발랑 차지 개발랑 차베이나 대응 고탑지 마치나 양라리 동행 반영고도 세도 좀be 디마가나 아니 tendu dewa set medu dile pa taba koale raw nyomongi wangi jewalen ya de meba ji chabe kabla en shine nyege rangden yonso zoba cha buta wa chagdu sidu jambe ya hope sawa rawa sawachi rawa nibadre to ba ta kibu chung kibu ding so 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 ki kaso rangden ge samdang dati wa 다 기부 친구 기부 중은 기부 등 레드 잠베 다 탈바 톰되게 삼바들이 다 탈바 잠시 토베이나야 단동야 아니 그래서 우리 계란기 고바 쪼어디 다 노삼다냐고요 계란 고바 쪼어디 다 지게 레다니 몽기 샤완도 만들어봐 아니 지게 그래서 샤완 기계와 말해봐 라완 돈에 개발에 지 라더라고 요르데 단동야 계란기 땡데양나 중립을 잠베 아니 코알이 개발된 단데 도거레데 단동야 개발된 거를 가르전스나 단동야 다디 사버를 계제 사버를 단동야 계란 장동에서 조면도 가르전스나 계란 단동야 개발된 거도 개발된 단 가르랬으나 아니 시티 부원도 집에 땡데양나 중립 단달 하디요 예스 다디리나 인도 좀 더 시티 계란저 아주 사와차기 유지를 제장가 시티 온도 집에 땡데 양라 중에서 조어디 가르스나 동해 요르세 기제도 말해요. 개체적으로 가르스 먹당 걸스도 아란주기 이 가르서 그래 시티 좋아 시티 좋아 참을 때니 아니 레사지 레디 시티 온도 그는 좋아 될 때니 레사지 딜라 사메길레사 아니 시디기 바자들 하디잖아 머리 바자게 싸다 사과메벨 텔레테니 라리앙 아니 시디 온도 집에 엔 개월랭 고요스 텔레 개월랭 집에 슈고레 야디 온기 시고요스 디앙 뇨몽 온기 시고 말에 동해 여자 시고 말레스 이나야 시디기 가서 템파서로 디기 괜히 세원도 아니 바 시고요스 제장을 다좀 봐도 좀 치고도 있어. 얘는 좀 단동인 계란 장동에서 좀에도 단동인 계란 제 지하셔 가진스나 시디 용도 집에 땡데 양로 중립의 세줄 하셔서도 좀 신의 셈 나로래야 다 추구마 토바나 추구 고방원도 마셔베이나 다 라운드는 좀 도세 삼로들레 토바이나 당한 주기 남샤 준도 아니 라운드 영조 줘발라 추구 고방 토브레세 다 신의 삼로들레기요 다 디기 아주기 청주 초직래 청주 초직 청주 초직 저당 아주 청주 셈께베가려야 능번이 고고요
네.
단다들려야다 초직모도 요 말에 가전스나 라운드의 추구고 통도 요래 단다 기부 전부는 줘야 돼 삼단 거 당하죠 이제 단다 두주시라면 자 두주지 라시기 저랑 신디 디스트리 치래
신디 다시 합다 클래스 신디 치죠 so this is, so I'll just try to summarize because time is short. I'll summarize from Rinpoche. So yesterday we spoke about how it's difficult to, the grasping it, the ignorance of grasping at permanence as a root, which then stops us from it keeps us focused on this life and stops us thinking about future lives, and then then if we start to think, well, it sort of develop from going from the smaller scope into the middle scope. Well, we start to think about, well, actually taking that my future lives are my concern, that it's me, there's some form of me that goes on, and therefore they are my concern, and then a kind of new sort of hope or aspiration arises. Then going sort of connected with the smaller scope, then going from the smaller to the middling scope, and thinking that it's not good enough that just sort of virtuous actions are, because I won't be able to just continue to try and perform virtuous actions doesn't help me to get away from the process of birth, and therefore if I'm continually being reborn, then there's going to be suffering and powered by the mental afflictions and karma. So we have this hope of trying to get away from the mental afflictions and karma through the understanding of the lack of inherent nature of self. And then this is a new hope, sort of based on the middling scope of one's of some form of the hope for liberation, a thrust towards what we'd call mere liberation, which is a sort of some completion of our own aims, a kind of welfare and wishes. But then, and this is sort of described in the process of the 12 links of dependent origination, being born into a psychic existence and suffering under karma and mental afflictions. But I want to give you another cycle of the 12 links, which you may never have reached your ears before, and that is the cycle of the 12 links based on the cognitive obstructions, the shidrip, as an influence. So it's not sort of a cycle of birth where there's a kind of manifest suffering, but the subtle the subtle forms of cognitive obstruction cause us to, we on the basis of that, we accumulate uncontaminated karma grounded, the sort of founded in the sort of seeds of the imprints of ignorance, but also connected with uncontaminated karma. So it's not a cycle of like death as we would think of it in the other scope, but a way in which we see the liberation from that process of those 12 links, as the liberation here would be the exhaustion of the cognitive obstructions and the attainment of the Dharmakaya state, and then seeing that as the completion or the perfection of our own aims and welfare. And so then we're coming into the context of the being of the higher capacity, the greater capacity, and this enlightened state. But just to say that just having this wish for the Dharmakaya state, if we think about the two aspirations contained within the awakening mind, one was the aspiration to attain enlightenment, then this is still a little bit one-sided in relation to the complete aspiration of the greater scope.
어디지? 다테네 다디 장든 제가 전주 선배들 겨울에 지금 양년 송으로 전주 선배를 하비 아니 가서래 장든 그 다시 좀 년대 전주 선배를 도와 송해 드리 다디 디 삼로 찍디처럼 좀 yapছে 다니버디 디나라 단도 신된레마 송아슬 비점베 아니 신된 집에 양라다 가르를 고도스네 다 제당 조지 꿀레 견제 인도네시아를 패네 라마 시링비 군주네 아니 전주심기 당마 슈가 페어레 세디타 디켄잠들 페어레 팅거라 먼저 등이 먼저 상에 제장가 다 가르에서 좀 알아주 군제명아 되스 디버도 다시 냠제 할 다시 냠제기 삼로간에 거로 로투요데 다 단다 가를 하디 걸 수도 좀 아니 마시 텐텐 텐수 이용이 참바 아니 지게 아니 인지 아니 지게 하성 자주 셈세 저 참말로 처음이게 다 그거 집어도 랑된 파도다 삼로디다 단계 랑된 추구 고도 삼산데 렛서베 슈데라 아니 슈 셈디나로야 당동에 가릴래고 요할 수도 좀 다 딘지기 퇴인 첨부티 토발라 아니 지금 가서 그래 닝지 단기 랑니 미비 닝지 스팅아 줄라고 말해 다 self compassion 이 시도와 닝중디 파카 줄지 다 닝지를 봐 닝지 카 줄은 도 선배 다 지엔 동네에 되는 치모로냐 별로 된 아주 끼로 치고요 다 보시나 된다 마지 그 좀전 가려서나 랑당 안에 랑당 대비 아니 지게 심진 다 탐지 랑라야 진심부지 뭐 통요 말해 제장가 알아줘 마르시바 아니 진템바 진소와스 용기 참바세도 방되는 정말 디 가르기 쳐도 용으로는 당보 좀 봤음디 용기 참바세게 줄이다 그래서 아주 견주명아 되는데 전주 심기 지지제 쓰고 봐. 다 단다 당보니 레 당보 솜디 잡았기 초도 주거든. 이 인도자명 알아줘 그뒤이니 심지어 담제 마 제녀벌 슬람상 케르지 레달랭가 지고 요래데 디 지금 니에기 기긴 켈링 요래 니에기 능미조 켈링 요래 니 초로조 켈링 요래서 많이 봐. 딜레 또도 지기 레준 지기 삼로디 뷰타고 쇠 아니 지기 개월 통매 받아 통매기 탐매 받아 아니 남시기 도단 삼로데 스당 아니 하버도 개왕가 치기도 저를 직비 두고야 돼 직비 두 롱고 두고야 돼 롱고 두 되네 배 지기 그것들 신에 아니 다예 마치님 안용이 지 매버레샤 세 삼로데 타 줘버리 좀소나 아니 단다랑 신도 제비기 마디 아니 지기 내가 나로 먼저 점배 그런 신규 responsibility 디 소소간 랩선을 붙이 초로도 봐. 이 수직이 전환이 제고를 쓰기요 말에. 배나 부구도 비지 아마지도 부구지 비나 부구디 시비지 나데베 갑라. 아마딜레 깔레도 요르데이네. 아마 상보지나 부구딩을 두고 시비지 땅에서 춘주간 하람스 말에. 내 하나를 세 마토부터 붙이래. 가르전에서나 랑신기 아마델레 학삼 부구델 장벨 학삼도 유여 디간 학삼말레건 참바도 유여 디인도 삼베 소소를 약간이 간데 쉐베이나요 대다 탐지 개념 창조름도 주로 송송해야 되는 신시제 베디 단단히 라바나시 또디 삼로당단지 요래 당아조 투주도 드린 도서 주조 나바제를 차고요 제가 다 단다 가망하면도 아니 지랑게 답이 제제 단 turdigun geoju 어도시 나 다른 개체슈리 지난주 군중도 송샤죠디 아니 야도 템바치체 애니에 단다디나로야 랑둥기 좀 숨지 결과 기부 중요급 랑둥 상당다 기부 딩가 소랑된 삼당다 아니 기부 쳔비가 소랑된 삼당다 아니 기부 쳔비가 소냥 네베 잡지 아니 챤된 삼당당시 오 다디 지난주 부르부르 공부시 돈을 야고요 올라서 땐 드링 주다 에 두시다기 메리클기 데 드린데 가서 잠샤 에 슈마 지금 추게 돌린 이제 직체 투약이 알아요 뭐놈데 에 두시다 지지는 그거 남기였죠 사체 올라서 도시에
and so in terms of so then we've been talking. So what I want, what I'll frame all of this in the context of is the sort of hopes or wishes of practice for the related to the three scopes, which are of how we sort of want to fulfill our own aims and practices, and then later, to the higher scope where we also add on the fulfillment of the aims and sort of wishes of all others as well. And in terms of the we talked about the aspiration from the one side of the desire to attain the Dharma. The Dharmakaya, the Chukku, which is a kind of, in the sense, for one's, we talk about it in the sense of being one for one's own, the completion or fulfillment of one's own aims, and in terms of, in terms of talking about others' aims to add on to that wish, the other side of the coin. Then we need look through the stories of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, but we need look no further than Atisha's example, traveling on his journey to Indonesia to meet with Serlingpa, and the instructions which he gave us primarily in his case on the 7-point cause and effect instruction for developing the awakening mind, but also there are also the instructions of equalizing and exchange of self and others, and so this sense of wishing to we have this sense of to added on to this sense of wishing to for one's own aims to achieve the Dharmakaya, but also but also some meaning in achieving that greatest of states in relation to others. So sometimes when we talk about renunciation as being we don't, not quite self-compassion, but that's a sort of way if we turn it around, then we develop compassion for others, and what we need in relation to others is a sense of gratitude to all kind of sentient beings, to all sentient life, and this comes in the 7-point cause and effect instruction. When we talk about recognizing beings as I mother, understanding the gratitude that we owe them and wishing to repay the gratitude, and those first 3 steps in that process are spoken of in order to they're the sort of supreme way which is spoken of in order to get us to that sense of loving kindness, which it sees all beings to be attractive and delightful, all sentient beings, and that love, a kind of impartial love for all sentient beings. So we should not have it in this kind of biased way. We think about those that we know or we're close to, our students or teachers, but it has to be framed in the context of how our birth, the births, rebirths under the process of the karmic process, that our births are the number of births is endless, and that we should examine all of the relevant scriptural quotations as well as the reasons why that is the case, and on the basis of that we come to the conclusion that there can be no sentient being that has never not been our mother. And we see, if we take the example of a very good mother in a particular life, a very good mother, and how they take responsibility for their children, that when they're sick, there's because of their strong kind of altruistic intention towards their child, that they, whatever difficulties the child may give them, or the situation may give them, that loving kindness and a sense of responsibility is always there. Almost as like a practice when we talk about taking unconducive conditions onto the path for practice. This is almost, you can see this as a kind of example when a very loving mother takes on all difficulties that are thrown at them in order to care for a child stricken with illness. And so time is short today, so I have to tie it up here, but I want you to remember all of the things that His Holiness has talked to us about this morning, and to think about the three, the achieving of our own aims in relation to the three scopes, but also when we come to the greater scope, the adding on to that of the working for the fulfillment of the aims of all other sentient beings as well. So today has been a really, so then we have this miraculous day, and thank you for, Tushita, for inviting me to share this day of miracles with them. And I'll make prayers that again, that we can meet in order to, continue our Dharma discussions and teachings. I'm not sure where that will be, but I make prayers that definitely we will meet again and again to discuss these things.
Okay, thank you very much. And now dedication is one of the most important part here, so please make sure that whatever today and yesterday, that we had a great time, or we had a great time, I had a great time. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, so that if not people like you ask me to say something, then I might be not using my time in a very positive way. So for your kindness, I got this opportunity, so I thank you. I owe you. And so now the merit that I have accumulated, and we all have accumulated together, so that due to this merit, that may His Holiness Dalai Lama and all the great master who is holding the Buddha's teaching, that they may live very, very long, and so that we may get tremendous teaching from them, and not listening only them, but we may can feel and touch their experiences, so that our the day-to-day life will be much brighter and brighter. So through that, where we all are, that we have a responsibility to make the world much better. So we need these supreme guides. So, and maybe we can bring a peace and a good example to the world, so that there is no more war, no more pandemic, no more cheating, corruption. So this may get much less and less. So that for that we need His Holiness and all this great master to be very alive. So we dedicate this for their long life, and we always might get an opportunity to receive teachings from them. Wherever they go, we are born with together with them, not together, around them. So we get blessings from them continuously. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dedication now, prayer.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. I will hurry. Osa shi puki jochi me tok tram re rappling zini de gyampa de sangye zingdu mikte uwai trukon namdak zing la pa shok. May Venerable Lama's life be firm, his wide divine action spread in the 10 directions. May the torch of the teachings of Losang always remain, dispelling the darkness of all beings in the 3 realms. Idam Guratna Mandalakam Nyayatayami. And while we're sharing the screen, I start already, Rinpoche. Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I've heard day and night through the 4 reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. In a land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with a dedication praised as the best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction of the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I revere this treasure of happiness and aid. Om Swasti, may all be
I think we don't need that one. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much, all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Okay.
Please, Rinpoche, return very soon. Have a long and healthy life.
Thank you.
Please, Rinpoche.
Okay.
Please.
You all stay safe. And now there is a bright sun appearing this morning. This happened. And now we wanted to His Holiness to come into the wherever you are in the Europe and everywhere. May He travel and bring especially go to Russia, maybe invite Russia, Ukraine, and give some teachings. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so Tushita, everybody. Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think for auspiciousness, shall we recite Rinpoche's long life prayer? Yeah. Om Swasti, may all be auspicious. O charming lady of 7 eyes, supreme mother of the triumphant, exceptional deity skilled in bringing a great rain to fall of the actual attainments of deathless long life, positive potential and deep awareness, please grant here and now the utmost in fulfilling the aims of my prayers by the force of your matchless, dedicated heart to uphold the teachings. May you live a long life to further the essence of the deep and extensive guidelines that the able ones taught, as a Lord wielding power over the ocean of reason and speech. As a lamp for the teachings of the excellent-minded, for the sake of leading to a peerless, enduring bliss, all wandering beings oppressed through bondage to their compulsions and disturbing minds. May you live a long life, fulfilling all infinite hopes through the extensive deeds of your stainless 3 enigmatic gates. May your dedicated heart once more reach out to strive in serving the triumphant one's teachings through your 3 pure rounds. I request you long to remain as a guiding light for wandering beings in accord with your will in the land of disciples in every direction. By the power of the inspiration from the host of lamas, deities, and protectors, by the force of the truth of non-fallacious dependent arising, by the strength of regard from the exceptional resolve of myself and others, May all our aims of our prayers be exactly and fully fulfilled. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. It's Chotrul Düchen is the last day of the Days of Miracles. We are so happy that we had this great honor to have Serkong Tsenshab Rinpoche with us. Thank you so much to our tireless translators, to Simon, thank you so much. Sia yesterday, Venerable Sayana joining us for many, many events during the last 16 days. Venerable Paloma, rushing, so many things to do. Thank you so, so much, both of you. And thank you so much, Simon, last year for translating during these events. Very, very kind. I hope you get some sleep. Thank you so much, and we enjoyed so much having you all with us the last 16 days. It was a great pleasure, a great beginning of our season and celebrating the new year, and I hope we created a big amount of merit together, so to bring peace and happiness to this world, to our family, communities, our countries, and then to this world. And hopefully we can spread the Dharma even further. And Tushita, as we mentioned already, will open soon. So we have an introductory course coming up next, but then in April we open for drop-in meditations and short courses. We just put it on the website, the dates of the short courses, and then in May we open again for residential courses. So we have planned already what courses we're going to offer in May, June. It will be on our website very soon. And last but not least, I wanted to give the microphone to our tireless director, Pamela, and to say the last words. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for the last 16 days. Many of you have been making generous donations, so thank you so much. Because of your donations, actually, the Tushita has been surviving for the last 2 years with the online courses. So thank you so much for your love and support. And those who made Padalim offerings also. And also I want to thank Venerable Kunpan and the people behind who are helping us making these events, online courses and everything successful. Vicky, who is helping us with the website, and Pratibha, who is taking care of the social media and everything. So thank you everyone so much. And offerings are most welcome for teachers and for Tushita, all 14 teachers that we had for the last 16 days. So if you want to make offerings, I just put the link. So offerings are most welcome for teachers or for Tushita. I think, thank you so much. And we are very excited to open up. So hope to have you all back to Tushita very, very soon in person. Thank you. Have a good session.
Thank you so much, everybody. And we have a Medicine Buddha Puja at 6:30 Indian time. So it's part of the Chotrul Düchen program, 6:30 Indian time, the same link. You can join us. Venerable Dharma, our resident teacher, is leading the Medicine Buddha Puja in English. It's about an hour. And then we will kind of show you the altar in Tushita, and we can all rejoice and make some prayers together. Thank you so much, and have a good evening in India, good morning in Americas, in Europe. Enjoy your lunch, and hope to see you very, very soon again. And maybe we have this kind of online program next year again, because I think many we enjoyed. Then we get so many teachers together online. It's almost impossible to have that residential. So we will see. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you very soon. Bye-bye. Ciao, Venerable Sayana. Bye-bye to Italy. Bye-bye, Venerable Paloma. Where are you? There she is. Bye-bye to Spain. See you soon. Bye to Brazil. Beijos to Brazil. Bye-bye, Namdrola. And to England. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.